Graydon, do you hear that? Come here. I do hear something. That's the sound of a new rail yard. And we're joined by Wes from Amico. Wes, introduce yourself and let us know what you do with Amico.
Yeah, my name's Wesley Sams with Amico Infrastructures. I'm the divisional manager for the Cambridge group, and I've had the pleasure of managing this project from start to finish with my team.
So Wes, tell us just what Amico's portion of this rail project has encompassed.
Yeah, Amico's portion has encompassed building the embankment that we're currently standing on, doing all the prep work, placing all the ballast so the wood ties can be placed, and prepping everything for the experts, PNR, to come in and place the rail.
That's fantastic. And we'll talk to someone from PNR in just a minute. But could you explain to us sort of what we're seeing here? So we're connecting down from the CN track and it's sort of coming up. Where does it go onto the site?
Yeah, so the connection point is down there at the CN rail, and then we come around the bend. We go over the bridge that we also built. Our structures team did that. Heads down to the north, and it'll loop in on the far north into the PowerCo site, where it's going to service the battery plant. Much anticipated.
Much anticipated indeed, and getting off the ground very soon. This looks like a very finished bridge. Is this work pretty much done on this?
Yes, the bridge is, I'd say, about 99% done. A few things to clean up, but you can see that the ballast has been placed over the bridge, and we are waiting to place some wood ties, and the rail is ready to go as well.
Will there be like a name for this bridge, like the Wesley Sams overpass or something like that?
Won't be named after myself. I believe we have a nice sign on the side that says City of St. Thomas on it, and credit goes to the team that did everything. I just got to sit back and watch.
Well, that sounds good. Well, listen, thanks for explaining kind of the big view of this. Now I think we should pull in our rail expert and learn a bit about rail. This is the first rail we've laid in St. Thomas for quite a while.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thanks, Wes. Okay, we're joined now by Phil from PNR. Phil, introduce us and let us know what you do at PNR.
So I'm the project manager for this project. My group does most of the industrial clients in Ontario, all the way from Thunder Bay, Ottawa, down to Windsor and Sarnia. This project here is the first phase that we're working on right now. It's CWR tracks, so continuously welded rail. It's all to CN standards. We're pre-building or building the track right now. It'll be followed up with ballasting afterwards. And then once phase 1 is done, we'll be starting on phase 2 on the north.
What's the reason that you would skeleton build the track first and then come in and do the ballast afterwards?
You need to skeleton build it. You can do it on what they call pre-ballasting. So you can put 6 inches or so of ballast below the bottom of tie, but you can't ballast the tie until it's all secure, because you have to have a certain spacing with the tie. It's a lot easier to do it when it's open, and it's a lot quicker.
How do you go, like what kind of equipment do you use to go through afterward and get the ballast in and around and under the ties?
So on a job this size, we'll bring in production lift machines. So you'll have a Mark IV production tamper, which is computer controlled. You'll plot out the tracks, you'll figure out where it is and where it needs to go, and then it'll actually lift up and shift the track side to side, and then pack the ballast underneath the tie and around it. And then the regulator, it'll come in, it'll actually push the plow push the ballast around like a snow plow, and then it'll create your shoulders on the sides.
What kind of tolerance for flatness of the rail do you end up with after a process like that?
For this job here, plus or minus 1/8 of an inch over a 100-foot section.
Wow, so you just put your eye on it and get it nice and straight? That's how you do that?
The machine does that for us, yeah. But yeah, it is extremely smooth once it's all done.
Okay, and so for this section here, we've got sort of these standard plates, I'm sure you can tell us what the word is, that are spiked down. Does that change as we go through the curve of the track over there?
Yeah, so these are standard 14-inch double shoulder tie plates. So there's a shoulder on each side that fits against the base of the rail. And then as you get down towards the curve where it starts to go into an elevation, we have what they call a cast MSR plate in there. And that's a more robust plate. It has better holding power, and it allows for the sharpness of the curve to take into consideration.
That's fascinating. We'll send Graydon down there to get some close-up shots after. He's got to get his steps in. Now, I noticed there's lots of curved track over there, but I only saw straight track delivered. Do you guys bend that on site?
So for a job like this, with the degree of curve we have, it's easy to bend itself. We don't actually have a machine with a mandrel that pre-bends it. So it'll actually follow the curve degree. When we get into tighter curves, such as LRTs, where you've got a real sharp curve, that's when they'll pre-mandrel bend the rail ahead of time to whatever the degree of curve is, and that's when they install it. You can't bend it by hand for sure, but over an 80-foot length stick of rail, you can very easily bend it.
Fair enough. Well, you and I couldn't. Maybe Nathan Bachma could. It's hard to say. Now, this you said is continuously welded rail. How do you balance the cold weather, hot weather, expansion, contraction of the rail when it's all one piece?
So once the track is all built and anchored and fully ballasted to its final location, then what they'll do is they'll unspike and unanchor the track. They'll let it grow to its natural temperature where it's at, and then they'll measure it. They'll figure out how much the rail is going to expand or contract. Then they'll make an appropriate cut. They'll leave a gap, and that's what they call for distressing. And then they actually thermite weld that gap to make sure that there's the rail at the final point is at its preferred rail laying temperature.
So thermite welding is part of the process. When you're welding these, you said it's an arc weld between the rails?
Yeah, this is what they call a flash butt weld.
Wow, there's a lot of technical terms that I'm being exposed to here the first time, but this is very interesting. And then you mentioned up on the storage tracks that those aren't welded track, that it's bolted.
Right. Yeah. So it's all bolted construction. So you use a joint bar with track bolts on it. You'll leave a gap when you're building the rail. So then that way that accommodates for the expansion and contraction.
When you guys are driving these spikes, is it like, the romantic picture I've seen of like swinging like a pick hammer and driving it in? Or do you have a different tool that you use at this stage in the game?
We have multiple tools. So we can do it by hand. We actually have spike mauls right back there. The gauging that we've done in here was all done by hand, either with a spike maul itself or a hydraulic hammer. And then once the gauge is set, then we bring our production machines in, and then that finishes it off a lot quicker and a lot easier on the guys too.
Okay, now we're not going to drive them today, but we've got a couple of golden spikes that Amico's provided that at the end of the project we're going to drive. What's the reason that you would wait until the end of a project for the golden spike?
Some people think it's bad luck, so typically they'll put it in at the end of the project just before it goes into service.
I've not known engineers to be superstitious people in general, but maybe we want to just be cautious here, and we'll wait. We'll come back towards the end of the project. You can let us know. We'll meet you here, and you can show us how to use a spike maul.
Sounds good.
I've embarrassed myself driving a bulldozer, driving an excavator, even a rock truck. I'm sure I can embarrass myself driving a spike maul or a spike with a spike maul as well. But listen, Phil, thanks so much for joining us. Like our videos and don't forget to smash that subscribe button.